We've all heard of minimalism, right? Everybody talks about how great it is. You save all this money, you save time, things are easier to clean. There's a lot of benefits to minimalism. And the first place that any veteran minimalist will tell you to start is with decluttering. But then comes the question, what do you declutter? So in this video, I'm gonna tell you 50 things that you can declutter right now, like today. And if you want to save it for later, there will be a free downloadable PDF below. For those of you who don't know me, welcome. My name's Christina. I talk all about minimalism, simple living, capsule wardrobe. So if you like any of that stuff, make sure you hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up while you're at it. It really helps me out. Come on, you gave one to Graham Stephan. Can I have one too, please? And before we get started, I wanted to thank the sponsor of today's video, Athletic Greens. I'm so excited to be working with them again. And if you haven't heard of Athletic Greens before, they're essentially an essentialist nutrition company. They're all about simplifying your daily health routine, and it's not just limited to professional athletes or productivity gurus like Tim Ferriss. Their AG1 supplement is really for everybody, and for me, it's like the only thing that I've been consistent with for a long time, so very impressed. I drink an AG1 supplement every day in the morning, and not only does it really ensure that I stay hydrated, for me, it just really helps me keep an even keel of energy throughout the day. I don't have these like spikes and crashes as much anymore. And for the most part, I've gotten myself down to 1 coffee a day, which is really good for my jitters and my anxiety. AG1 is dairy-free, gluten-free, and they don't contain any nuts, eggs, sugar, or GMOs. It contains over 75 vitamins, minerals, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens, all packed into that daily serving. So if you're looking to simplify your daily supplement routine or give you a nice boost to your gut health, your energy, things like that, Athletic Greens is offering my community a free year supply of their vitamin D drops and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase of AG1. Everything will be linked down below in the description. So thank you again to Athletic Greens for sponsoring this video. They're all about simplifying, streamlining. We love it. So let's get into the decluttering. Number 1 is old magazines, newspapers, and TV guides.
And these TV guides, so many memories.
If you're making fun of the old Good Housekeeping magazines in your doctor's office from 1992, then what's your excuse? Number 2 is your old CDs, DVD, and Blu-ray collection. I mean, when's the last time you watched a DVD with things like Netflix? Donate to your local library or something. Number 3 is books that you know you're not gonna read. I won't say to convert to Kindle or audiobooks if you love the idea and the feeling of a physical book, but for those of us who are book collectors, I think it's always good to do a little edit of your bookshelf and to donate those books that you just don't plan on reading anytime soon. You can always donate these books to your local library or those neighborhood book exchanges. You know, those like take a book, leave a book. I love that. Pass on the knowledge, the entertainment, all that good stuff. Number 4 is old batteries. Usually you can take dead batteries to places like Best Buy. They'll get rid of them safely for you, or check your local community calendar for days where you can bring in your e-waste and other sort of difficult to get rid of items. 5 is old electronics, things like your CD player, your Walkman, old printers, scanners, things that you're just not using anymore. When's the last time you actually used a scanner? 6 is obsolete phones and tablets. So I'm talking about things like old iPods, phones, iPads, things like that. Electronics that you can no longer use. You can often take these things to places like the Apple Store where they can repurpose the thing for parts. Sometimes, depending on how old the thing is, you can trade it in to get an upgrade, but no promises. Number 7 is toys that your kids no longer play with or toys that are broken. Decluttering can be a family event, and if you do have kids, I encourage you to get them involved. And I think it's a great opportunity to let your kids choose what they are deciding that they no longer want to play with and that they want to pass on to another kid. Number 8 is pretty self-explanatory and pretty easy, but clothes that are worn out. They have holes in them if the elastics are no longer stretchy, old underwear, socks, bras, pajamas, old t-shirts that don't give off that cool, worn-in vintage vibe. You can repurpose these things into rags or simply get rid of them. Number 9 might be a little more difficult, but it's clothes that no longer fit. And with this, I mean clothes that you're not planning on using in the future. If you have a bin of maternity clothing, for example, or if you like to keep some clothes if your weight tends to fluctuate. I'm not saying get rid of those things, but if there's clothes that make you feel bad about your body, When you try them on, they make you feel pressure to lose weight, gain weight, or change yourself in some way. You don't need that kind of pressure in your life. Get rid of it. Number 10 is expired sunscreen. It's important to wear your sunscreen every day and not just when you're going to the beach, but if you are planning on going, and make sure you check the best before label on your sunscreen because the stuff does expire. It's important to make sure that you're using product that is within date so that it's actually giving you the sun protection that the label says. 11 is expired medications. In case you guys didn't know, I am a pharmacist.
I'll go with the pharmacist.
And medications can go bad, so it's always a good idea to do a little audit of your medicine cabinet and pull out any expired medication. So any anti-allergy medication, creams, ointments, lotions, pull all that stuff out. And fun fact, if you do have expired medications, you can take it back to your local pharmacy and we will dispose of it safely for you. 12 is expired toiletries, so things like travel toothpaste, shaving creams, shampoos, conditioners. These things separate, they can go bad, there can be temperature fluctuations depending on how you store them. Have a look through all your toiletries and get rid of the things that have gone bad. Number 13 is old supplements, so things like protein powders, vitamins. I mean, if you use Athletic Greens, then you can kind of amalgamate it all into one. See what I did there? We simplify. And these tubs take up a lot of space. 14 is your pantry. There's got to be some food in your pantry that you sort of had plans to cook but never did. So if you are decluttering, go through your pantry and see if there's any non-perishable items that you haven't opened that you can donate to a local church, food drive, and a lot of grocery stores will also accept donations of non-perishables. So make sure everything is in date and it's not opened. But if you're not planning on using it, get rid of it. Since we're already in your pantry, number 15 are old spices, vinegars, oils, things like that. Especially spices, they do lose their flavor and potency over time. Sometimes air can get in there and condense all the little flakes together, and then it becomes hard as a rock. You can't even use it. Since we're in the kitchen, excess Tupperware with no lids. I mean, you can repurpose some Tupperware into things like cereal bowls, but are you really? 17, excess plates and cutlery. I think it's great to have some backups if you like to entertain, if you don't want to do the dishes all the time. Definitely no one is telling you to have only 2 plates, a bowl, a fork and knife and a spoon and you're good to go. A little edit here and there is always a good idea. How many plates and bowls and mugs do you really need? / how many are you really using? They're a great garage sale item too. Next are kitchen gadgets that you don't use, like your slap chop, those egg cutter things, your avocado holder. It's a lot of infomercial stuff. Next is old instruction manuals. This is one of my pet peeves because my boyfriend loves to hold on to old IKEA instruction manuals. I don't know why. Everything is available on YouTube, on Google. It drives me crazy to have our drawers filled up with old instruction manuals for things that we'll never look at. Next is socks with no pairing. I really don't know where they go after you put them in the dryer, but after a while, if you can't find it, you don't need to keep the lone sock. 21 is your iron. And this is specifically if you don't use it. For me, I personally use a steamer, so I've never had to use an iron. And it's something that I definitely got rid of a long time ago, along with the ironing board. So make that number 22. This one might be a hard one, but it's clothes that you haven't worn in 2 years or more. I think 2 years is being generous given the whole pandemic thing that we just went through. But if you happen to be decluttering your closet, ask yourself if you wore this item in the past 2 years and do you plan on wearing it in the next 6 months? If the answer is no, then I think it's time to let that thing go. Next is old hobby equipment that you have no plans on taking back up again. I definitely don't need my old rock climbing equipment, my chalk, my harness. I'm afraid of heights too. I don't know what I was thinking with all of that. Next is expired makeup. And if you look really closely on the packaging of your makeup, most of them are labeled with a best before date. So you might see a 6 or a 12 or even a 24 in some cases. Do your best to stick with that because makeup does go bad, it loses its consistency, and it can run the risk of growing bacteria and causing infections and all these other problems. You don't want to mess with it. With eye makeup especially. Unopened makeup you don't wear. Again, check the label to make sure it's in date, but a lot of these things you can actually donate to a local women's shelter, especially if it is things like foundations, neutral eyeshadows, things that are very wearable. They will often happily take those things. Old calendars. I know you never know when an old calendar may come in handy.
Sure, it's not 1985 right now, but who knows what tomorrow will bring?
Excess stationery, so things like pens, paper clips, notebooks, thumbtacks, Post-its.
Okay, I invented Post-its.
Next are knickknacks that bring you no joy. The key word being joy. So if you have things around your house like knickknacks, tchotchkes, little cute things that you love and they just make you smile every time you pass by them, go for it. But if it's just there, decor and knickknacks, you might want to consider letting it go. Just because it's an empty surface doesn't mean you have to fill it. Old bedding and towels. If these are in good shape, you can consider donating these things to your local humane society. They will often take them. The old nail polish, sometimes it can get really thick and weird. I mentioned this in another decluttering video, and a lot of you guys suggested that you can get things to thin out the nail polish and it'll make it its proper consistency. If you don't have that sort of bandwidth to do that, then you can dispose of them, but make sure you check your local community waste days because nail polish is considered like a volatile compound, so it needs to be disposed of in a specific way. Excess mugs, travel mugs, tumblers. I love collecting things like swell bottles and adorable mugs and all that kind of stuff. But in reality, for me, I only ever end up using 1 or 2 of them. And if you're the same, consider donating them. 32 is actually on your phone. And that is apps that you never use. If you use an iPhone, I'm not sure about Android and all that stuff, it'll tell you when's the last time you opened or used an app. If you haven't used it in the last month or 2, then maybe consider deleting it. Digital clutter is clutter too. 33 is duplicate kitchen items. Does anyone else have a favorite spatula? Next are pots, pans, and roasters you don't use. I don't know about you, but I only use like a select few of certain pots, pans, and all that stuff. The rest has literally never been touched. Excessive holiday decorations. I promise you I'm not a Grinch, but sometimes these holiday decorations can be a little much. 36 are gift cards. I don't know about you, but I love a good gift card. It really takes the pressure off when you're giving a gift, and for me, I just want to buy whatever I want to buy. But I find after a while they can end up accumulating in my wallet and I forget that I have them, things like that. So you can do a quick audit of your wallet and start using up your gift cards. That's a whole lot of free Starbies. Speaking of wallet audits, you can also get rid of store loyalty cards. But a lot of times you just get the loyalty points as like a one-off and then the card lives in your wallet taking up space forever. So get rid of it. Next are old receipts. Take a photo of them if you need them for bookkeeping purposes. There's a ton of apps that will scan your receipts for you. Stores will email you receipts. A lot of times there's no reason to carry around a paper receipt anymore. 39 are excess journals and notebooks. Especially around back to school and the new year, we all love to start a journal and a planner, and then by March, we forgot all about it. Number 40 is excess reusable shopping bags. I think it's a good idea to have a reusable shopping bag like in your car and in other handy places so that we reduce our plastic use, but I find a lot of times they're really easy to accumulate for some reason. So if you have a bunch of them that you're not using, keep what you need and give away the rest. Speaking of plastic bags, how about those plastic bags inside of plastic bags inside of plastic bags that you store under your sink? And if you do have them under your sink, then maybe aim to use them up, but it's a good idea to make efforts to stop collecting them in the first place. 42 are excess cords, USB cables, chargers, things like that. You don't know what they're for anyway. Old phone cases. We often upgrade our phones. The iPhone gets slightly bigger and thinner every single year, which means those old phone cases no longer fit, so you can sell them at a garage sale, donate them, get rid of them. 44 are dead or dying plants. You had your chance, it didn't work out. Excess IKEA Allen keys. You too? 46 are shoes that you no longer wear. So I'm talking about things like high heels, platforms, gladiator sandals. Going back to the other rule about clothes that you haven't worn in the past 2 years, do an audit of your shoes as well and get rid of things that are either uncomfortable, give you blisters, and that you no longer see yourself wearing anymore. Next is old costume jewelry. I don't know about you, but I am done with this era of Pinterest. 48 are spare buttons. You know, the ones that come with like blazers and pants and shorts that you might buy. I don't know, I've accumulated so many of those over the years. My buttons have never fallen off, and I think they're fairly easy to replace if that does happen. 49 are old textbooks, books, and encyclopedias. This is something a little bit more personal. If you love the idea of having a physical book and a book collection, go for it. But for the most part, I think we all just Google it. And number 50 are free samples, like those little free hotel minis, travel size toiletries, things like that. Number 1, those things can expire easily, but number 2, you probably don't even use those things in your actual routine anyway. What's the point of holding on to those? Okay, so we got through it. Let me know what I missed. Let me know if you guys want a part 2, but there will be so many clean surfaces and drawers after this. So those are 50 things that you can think about decluttering if you are just getting started, or if the mood strikes and you want to start getting rid of things. These are all items that I think most of us have in our lives and that could all use a little bit of editing every once in a while. And if you want a free PDF checklist of things to declutter, you can check out everything down below. Thank you again to Athletic Greens for sponsoring this video. And if you were interested in giving them a try, you can get a free year supply of their vitamin D drops and 5 free travel packs if you click the link in the description down below with your first purchase of Athletic Greens. Thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. It helps out my channel so much. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. See you in the next one, guys. Bye. Happy decluttering.